I'm like,
Why do I feel like Rhode Island is breaking your legs with a monocle on?
yeah,
That's what it sounds like. It's like you're getting beaten by somebody with a 4-year degree.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
still the mafia. It's still the mob, but it's Rhode Island. So they've got a monocle on or something like that.
But
Oh, yeah.
excellent food.
Excellent, excellent food. My mother-in-law's from Italy. She comes here and just breaks the kitchen down like nobody's business. It smells like spaghetti for like a month after, but there's nothing wrong with that. So, welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. My name is Jay, and we are joined today by Adam Butler, a recognized psychedelic philosopher, combines academic intellect with profound empathetic understanding and personal resilience. Appreciate you being on the show today. How you doing today, Adam?
I'm wonderful. As we were discussing prior to recording, every day's beautiful when you've kind of seen that light, or if you want to.
You're not wrong. Seeing that light is something that we're all capable of, but it is a unique journey to each individual. You can't turn somebody else's light on. You can just give them the power to do it themselves.
Well, and also discussing in the name of your show, the tragedy aspect of it. You have nothing without the darkness, and ultimately, that's what we're going to discuss is not only the light, and once again, there's a million ways of describing that, but also the bullshit that you have to go through, the darkness, the loss, the whatever, and we all have our own stories. But yeah, it's the both aspects, and you can't have one without the other.
No, you can't. Gary, you're here today. How's it going, brother? You're still getting warnings. Are you on Chrome?
It's the DMT entities fucking with you.
Technical difficulties are part of the whole entire endeavor.
It's, so we were talking about the synchronicities of lining it up, but so is the bullshit like that, right? So it's almost, it's a perfect metaphor for life and everyday struggles. And whether you're 3 years old, 30 or 80, we all have our own daily stuff to get through. Yeah. So
no, you're not wrong
with the podcast.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, the world of podcasting and the way that the globe has actually shrunk with the ability to look each other in the eyes and understand and feel people from different locations is amazing. But at the same time, it is rife with tons of technical difficulties and situations. But I've found that the closer that I am to something important, the more technical difficulties I get. And that's just a personal observation.
But it's like using like a gaming analogy. When you get to the end of the level, you have the main character, the obstacle, or the monster that you need to defeat. And I kind of approach the monsters in my life like that, where it's like, all right, so to your point, when there's something like that that's pushing you or struggling, that you're struggling with, well, that indicator light comes on. To me, I know it's time. It's towards the end of that level, which means leveling up. It means getting to that next point. So I lean into those moments.
Oh, you have to,
knowing that. Yeah. Like,
well, I mean, it's
like we were talking about going into rooms and calling bullshit on or calling the elephant out of the room. It's doing that with the crap in your life too, where don't run from it. You lean into it, learn from it, and then overcome it. And then you get that badge to move on and ideally never have to do that again.
Yeah, I use the analogy for me because meditation is my psychedelic of choice, my first psychedelic of choice I would sit down with. And I use a rope analogy. And in that, all of the issues that you traverse throughout life have an option. And if you were the proverbial rope, then you would have the opportunity at said tragedy or situation to either A, go through it, or B, tie a knot in your rope and go back and get it later. Right? But what happens? Knot after knot after knot after knot, you become an unusable rat's nest of rope. Right? And you're that oddly, it's a great analogy for what you would be in real life. You're not useful in that state either. So the rope is unusable. So I find that meditation and psychedelics and things like that allow you to contemplate inside of that knot and start to unravel and find the root causes that you had left behind throughout your travels or your endeavors in life, if that makes any sense.
No, it's a perfect analogy. And it's true. I use the analogy about plaque, that we're all bogged down with plaque.
Mm,
So kind of same thing. You're constricted with knots. And I see that analogy. So that rope is then shortened. It can't be used. You can't use it for,
correct.
it renders it useless where if you could just undo the knots where, with that plaque analogy, if you could just get that shit off you.
Hmm.
And sometimes you need a chemical removal. Sometimes you need a mechanical removal. And to your point too, meditation and psychedelics, I think both get you those abilities to clear
They
that
do the
stuff away or
same
untie those
thing.
knots.
Um,
So it's same exercise, connection to God or spirit or whatever that may be,
you're not wrong.
intimate
If you get the
relationships,
release
sexual
of
and
those
non,
types of
all of
chemicals
those
in your
things.
brain, the closer that you get to self, the more that you are
Absolutely.
in that transcendental moment where you're observing breath or, contemplating self from outside of self, you start to get, in tune with greater understandings. I don't necessarily, because today we're going to talk about DMT and we're not promoting any kind of illegal drug use or anything of that nature, but we are going to go pretty far down the rabbit hole, so to speak, for some people. To me, I think that that's giving it a negative connotation. I feel like it's been something that's been bastardized, hidden, probably for good reason. If you're in a nefarious intentions person, in the government, maybe, I don't know. That's a whole nother episode. Go see Joe Rogan. I'm sure he'll go over it. Not that I love what he says. I just don't try to get too polarizing here. Um, but DMT and meditation do walk a path beside each other. They both give you that self actualization, that self realization, and it gives you an ego death of a sort. Under psilocybin or DMT or 5-MeO DMT or marijuana or any of those hallucinogens that allow you to find yourself. But today, you're here to discuss your experiences and your own book about your experiences with DMT.
I am. Thank you. um, First, I want to say I've never heard it called say that meditation is your favorite psychedelic, and I agree with that. And I think that's a beautiful way of wording it because I can get to a damn near psychedelic state just by breathing, meditating. That quiet moment before I go to
Mm,
sleep, where and I fortunately I have access to shrooms or to DMT, pretty much whenever I want, and it's so nice to not have to lean into those
mm,
chemicals or to alter your state where you can do it um naturally. And then, I guess perfect segue to then discuss DMT is the fact that it is endogenous,
So
that it is
define
produced naturally
endogenous
in
because
your
I
own
don't think
body.
that that's a term that most people would understand commonly.
So my understanding is that this means that it's produced naturally in your own body.
Okay, excellent.
Body, excuse me. There's my accent for Gary, and that's where the fuck I'm from. Um, so there, different plant-based medicines are, in my opinion, you obviously can't say safer than pharmaceuticals, but I like the fact that you're getting something from nature. But not only with DMT are you getting it from plant-based, either tree bark or ground up leaves, but like you said, it's also naturally produced in your own body. And from the studies that I've seen, my understanding is it's in thousands of plants and it's in a bunch of different mammals, and it's found throughout nature in a bunch of different places. And so it's more just like increasing what you already have. And in my understanding, that's why a lot of these studies have gone so deep into DMT because it's different from shrooms or ketamine or LSD, uh, because you can feel it. And I know, like we were talking about meditation, I know when I get into my deep, deep states of meditation, it is very similar to DMT, and you smell it, taste it. It's a very distinct, like back of your nasal cavity sensation. Um, maybe not the crazy like entity speaking, transcendental, oh shit, mind blowing, with the crazy psychedelic, vibrations and stuff. But it's a deep, deep state where your breathing slows, your heartbeat slows, excuse me, and it feels wonderful. It's euphoric. It's just ecstatic. It's
I've always
awesome.
found it quite fascinating when people discuss the visualizations and the meetings with entities and things like that. I've never experienced DMT personally. It is on my list of things to experience at some point. But I myself have I don't know, it's not a condition because we like to label things as conditions when they're first, found out and not in the norm for everybody else's pattern of thinking or being or whatever it is. But it was brought up to me, and then it turns out that I have something called aphantasia. I thought that everybody in the world could imagine, when they say imagine this apple, right? That I was not aware that the rest of you could see an apple, right, in your mind's eye, so to speak, right? To me, I just thought it was a hypothetical fucking apple, right? I just figured we were all doing that. I have no vision of anything except for in dreams. I can have dreams, I can have nightmares, I see that. But day to day, I don't have a conversation, or reference my mind to remember what something looked like. And I just know it. It's a different way. But we're starting to find out that more and more people have this type of thinking, and that there's some people have a running dialogue. Some people have a ticker tape. Some people, take things in a different, everybody's got something different going on. Right. And now we're finding that out. I think there was an architect that went under for some kind of surgery, and he had like a very keen and astute mind for architecture. He had the ability to picture everything that he put together. It was his, I don't know what the word here is, but it was his talent. Right. So when he woke up from having, that surgery, he began to panic, because he no longer had the ability to see anything in his mind's eye. And that's when they were able to pinpoint that that's not necessarily, that he was still fine, but he just didn't have that capability anymore. And that led us to understand that the fact that it does exist, that people don't see things the same way when they close their eyes. So entities, visuals, when I see that stuff on a screen, they're like, this is trippy. I'm like, do you see that when you close your eyes? Holy shit. So it always fascinated me.
Well, to keep with your apple analogy, like I can vividly just think about the last 15 apples that I've eaten over the last 2 months, know exactly what they look like. I could differentiate species, what type of wormholes are in each apple. I mean, my mind could go for literally 10 hours just visualizing from apple trees to the roots of the trees, to the leaves of the trees, to the season, like apple cider, yeah.
It's funny. All those things that you say, I just know, if that makes sense. It's like I can recall it, I can describe it, but I don't have the actual picture in my mind. It's a different way to navigate life. I think it makes me more subject to how people feel, and how I, take in information and digest what this human experience is.
Oh, maybe that's what DMT will do for you. Blast you right.
Oh shit,
You'll
man!
be
I don't
seeing
want
all sorts of shit.
That's like a young boy getting his first taste of visualization in a porn magazine. Like, I don't want it at that dose, man.
Oh, that's great. You never get to experience something like that again, really. Like as you're older.
1,000 all at once.
When's the last time you saw something or experienced something that was just like way crazy, like as an adult? Like, wow, never, it's like, doesn't happen that much, right?
It's funny you say that.
You asking me?
No, just in general. Yeah,
No,
either one of you guys.
Well,
You're not wrong.
Every fucking
What
day.
we what we classify as an amazing experience is not necessarily missing from the day to day. It's still there. We've just become so jaded to it. If you want a clear indicator of that, it's when you see someone that's colorblind and they receive those glasses that allow them to see color for the first time, and they lose their shit and start crying.
That's beautiful.
And because of the beauty of everything they see. The fuck has been wrong with the rest of us? Like, if you want to know how much you take for granted what is actually out there, just watch a couple of those videos and go, man, I don't appreciate color.
Well, that's why you have the Tragedy Academy, right? I mean, really, like that's the light to the dark, or the dark to the light. Unfortunately, a lot of people have to either lose something, get something taken away, in order to really realize just how beautiful every breath can be.
So what was that?
But to me, part of my
Well,
story.
we all hit our
So
knees before we can grow and into a new tree, something stronger, something that leaves a legacy. You have to be on your knees to plant that seed in order for it to grow. So, when were you or where were you on your knees when it was time to make that change?
So for me, it was a culmination of like 3 or 4 major life events that all happened around 40 years old. Um,
Mm,
and I write in my book too that I'm very cautious as I tell my story about it. It's not this woe is me type shit.
mm-mm.
I literally was raised with the silver spoon in my mouth. I had every possible advantage. I had rich grandparents that gave me money. I had 2 awesome parents, amazing friends. I went to college for 8 years, traveled the world, had shit tons of money, owned a bunch of houses. Um, I really had it made. So there was no reason for me at all to be complaining or bitching about anything. But you mentioned you had struggled with alcohol, and I could say that that was probably one of my biggest issues. So I'm just over 3 years sober now, and that was a major factor because I was just running from my problems. So instead of facing them, instead of turning around and saying "fuck you" to those monsters or knocking off that plaque or untying those knots that we were just mentioning, I just kept adding more and more and more until really what ended up looking at the time to be the worst thing possible to happen has now turned into an absolute blessing. So the woman that I was with for 7.5 years, we own this beautiful 3-story Victorian. We just put over $100,000 in renovations, gourmet kitchen, beautiful spot by the water. I get a knock on the door one day from a constable. There was a restraining order saying, you need to leave the house right now. This woman basically saying all these horrible things about you and you need to get out of the house. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And, I was like, did you read this? He goes, no, I just dropped it off. Uh, I said, she's accusing me of some horrible shit. Now, I never put my hands on anybody. I've never put my hands on any man or woman. But at that time, and I can look back in retrospect, I was a mean, narcissistic, belligerent fucking asshole. I was drunk all the time. I was using my size and my look to be intimidating. She had 2 young daughters that I'd, grown up with for 7 years, but I was just coming home full of just this nastiness. So and if I, and I obviously haven't talked to her since, but, if I saw her, I would ask and beg for her forgiveness. I apologize. Like she did exactly what she needed to do, which is get me the hell out of her life.
Mm.
But that was right before COVID started. So I left and the guy was like, listen, 21 days, you'll go to the judge and you'll figure it all out. At that point, I was like, well, the relationship is over. Um, I had already owned 15 houses. So to me, like the house wasn't anything. I was like, fuck it. I don't care. Sell the house, keep the house. I don't care. I'll move on. But because of COVID, all the courts shut down for non-essentials for a year and a half. So that just lingered where I was paying the mortgage. I had all this shit going on in this house that I couldn't get into. I couldn't, and that just, that was like the beginning of, I got to restructure my entire life. So I had no place to live, no relationship now. Oh shit. But I still had a really good high paying job, but I was still an alcoholic. Then I quit my high paying job because I was stressed out, moved to the Cape, got an even better job, quit drinking, kind of got my life in order. Met a new woman, everything was good, but then I was still running from my shit. But I had this camaraderie now with these guys. So now I kind of had the women thing, whatever. I'm like, I'm taking a break from women. I have this great group of guys. We're making a shit ton of money. Um, then long story short, somebody fucked me over $900. And at that point I was making a bunch of money. So $900 wasn't anything, but it was a matter of principle. It was a matter of integrity. It was like, how, and I caught him doing something sneaky, taking basically a commission that should have been mine. And, it wasn't resolved the way that I thought that it should have. I got my $900 back. It was proved that it was wrong, but this guy was just looking at me like I was the fucking asshole. So I threatened to kill him. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not an aggressive person. I take out insects when I see them. Like I said, I've never been in a fight in my life. But this guy made me fucking snap. And he looked at me and was like, I'll fucking kill you. And it got really serious really quick. And there was luckily 2 other people in the room that kind of settled it out. And I left that room, that meeting, that was on a Sunday. Monday morning, I left and I was like, I'm driving back to California to hug a redwood tree. At that point, I had a bunch of money. I didn't give a shit where I was going. I was like, I'm just fucking leaving. I'm heading west. Um, I drove 26 hours, got to Kansas City, Missouri. And then from there, I spent like a year and a half pretty much on the road. I went to like 40 states. I traveled. I lived on the beach in California for 3 weeks. I lived in my car. I went to Vegas, lived on the streets. And I say lived on the streets. I had a shit ton of money because I was going out to figure out what was in my life? What do I want to live for? Um, Everything had gone to shit, and the fuck, like I was just at that point, I was done. I'd given up on life. Then I started getting into shrooms. Started doing some pretty decent doses, and I really had some good results, good therapeutic results. I was really getting some breakthroughs and getting through some of my horse shit. But I didn't have that clarity that I needed. And that's when DMT was exposed to me. And it seems like a very common story. Anytime any needs DMT, it somehow falls in their lap. And that's kind of what happened to me. And after I knew I had access to it, I did it 3 or 4 months worth of research before I actually smoked it that day. And when I finally kind of like said, all right, I'm going to do this, I went deep and went really, really deep. I said in my book, I took like 50 hits that first day, and it was like 7, 8 sessions, and each session was 6, 7, 8 hits. And I just rearranged all the shit in my mind, and I came out, and I don't want to say it fixed everything, but I stopped banging my head against the wall. I knew what I needed to not run from, and I knew basically the knots that I needed to untie. But as soon as I knew, to use your analogy, as soon as I knew I was tying knots in that fucking rope, it was like, all right, idiot, stop tying knots and then stop untying them. And then that's been 2 years now. And the book's come out of it. My health has come out of it. I'm content. I've got great relationships, and my life's never been better.
Getting that.
Sorry, that was a long spew.
Because it's
But it was
cathartic
this
though, isn't
long
it?
drawn out, and then fucking
It's
yeah. But
cathartic
it was a
when you're holding that long story that leads you to such a momentous feeling. We want to make sure that we get it right. When the stake is the ability to give somebody else the knowledge to get to where you are. As we start to share these journeys and how we end up, finding a greater love for ourselves. That's what I'd like to call it. More than anything is the love for ourselves, the perfectly imperfect, right? And there's an onus on us.
and knowing that
There's
yeah,
an onus on
beautiful.
us to give that back in some way, shape, or form. And I can recognize that it'll choke you up when you recall it, because that was a whole reality that consumes you before that date. And you get to look through a lens of empathy. I've been in meditation. I've had something bizarre lately, and Gary, you can laugh at all to hell and back at me for this one, but I've
Snow globe?
no snow globe.
Okay.
This time I just found myself constantly falling on myself, laying in a fetal position with no clothes on like a child, and being forced to look upon myself over and over again with the empathy that that's who I am. And I need to understand that at the end of the day, I need to stop kicking, beating, treating myself that way, because that's what I look like when I do that. So that's been kind of in my head. I don't know. It looked like an alien movie when they find pods of people laying on the ground there, all it's circled up. But that's been my situation lately.
It's interesting. Like,
Isn't it though?
to dissect what that means, and be able to, process what to figure out what that means, and then how to start fixing those issues. I think like people never really do that. I mean, I think more and more now, as we've had different, psychedelic experts on, and I've met people, that, and I grew up when people did acid and shrooms and stuff and whatever, microdots or whatever they were at the time, and just to party and trip out and stuff. And then I think, over the years, people that I've met have started to do it for different reasons, and find different values and different things out of it. And I think a lot of times they go in it with wanting to party or something like that, and then they come out of it with something they weren't expecting, and then figure out how to use it as part of life. So I think whether it's, whatever type of substance, as long as it's healthy, or meditation or whatever, I think more people need to start finding something, that helps them. Because I think a lot of people are complacent. They go through work, it's okay, job's okay, their life's okay, and they don't ever hit rock bottom or have, something like that, or, I've had different things and we all kind of have, but I think people don't see it as that a lot. They're like, okay, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's just okay. And they never deal with anything because they're not homeless. They're not, you know, dying. So it's like they're all right. And they never progress. They never get better. They never get any of the shit taken care of. They find ways to cope with it, whether it be working out too much or drinking too much or deflecting or
Prescription pills.
Yeah. I mean, pills are, I think alcohol and pills, the two
The
things
two
that,
worst things you could possibly get mixed up in.
yeah, I mean, they're
Or
the
to
two.
use to cope.
But in the most common.
Yeah.
And that's the,
That's the
somebody would hear us and I agree. We should, have somewhat of a disclaimer that, psychedelics aren't for everybody. And it is something you do need to do your due diligence. And,
Yeah, you should have a therapist long
the
before you
fact-
go down the journey of psychedelics.
do thorough research for sure. But the fact that people just haphazardly take prescriptions from a guy that's just pushing pills and then it says right on it, don't take with
Carl.
alcohol. And then they all take it with alcohol.
Carl gives
well,
me my pills and I'm just going to take it. This is an upper. Okay, thanks,
It's-
Carl. I'm going to move on with my life. It's not your best way to ingest your drugs.
But people don't even question it. It's a normal way of numbing it. So there is no high, there is no low. It's just this constant, just dull it, with these blinders on. I don't want blinders. I want to see the minutest of details of everything. And then I'll make the decision if it's important or not, but don't just arbitrarily take it out of my sight of vision.
it's ingrained in us. You're a kid and you have a headache, you get a child's Tylenol, Flintstones vitamin, you get a toothache, you take a pill, you take a pill, you take a pill. Obviously alcohol, you go to ball games or a nightclub, like everybody just drinks. It's a thing and it's acceptable. Somebody goes out to the bar every night after work and drinks, like, yeah, that's just, Jimmy drinks a little bit. If somebody does DMT every day, like, oh, what's that? Oh, you got to smoke that? Oh, wow. Like that's drugs, but they'll take Zoloft and Xanax and Adderall and fucking all this other shit that no one knows what's in Adderall. They takes it. No one knows what's in Zoloft or like, no one does the research. Doctor says, take this during the day to get you up and take this during the night to get you down. And then you're fucking for 20 fucking years and your brain's mush, but it's not meth. It's not heroin.
We don't use them correctly.
Well, yeah.
Those pills are...
You guys are telling us.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was saying, you guys were saying the story the other day about one of your buddies went to Germany and broke their leg or something like that. And the doctor's like, well, yeah, just stay off your leg for 4 to 6 weeks. If you stand up, does it hurt? Yep. Well, when you lay down, is it? But no shit. It's like common sense. If you recover, it's going to take, if you can recover in 4 to 6 weeks, man, that means your body's great. Like you should be happy as hell that your body did that. But to just, no, take this. And I mean, I had horrible hemorrhoid surgery. It was fucking awful. And the doctor's like, well, you can get this, or this. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'll wait it out. I mean, I need to know if my body feels horrible or not. Those are the check engine signs or the change oil signs. So why are you shutting off the indicator lights? But that's what most people do with alcohol and prescription pills. Is just mask all that shit.
Alcohol is the umbrella of depression. It will hold you underneath the clouds and it'll give you cover temporarily from the rain, but you will never elevate above it. You will always be beneath the clouds. You're just getting temporary reprieve from whatever situation you're in. You have to do something that's elevating to bring you above the clouds to look around and survey your situation. Sorry, Gary, please.
Yeah. And there's a lot of company there.
Oh, fuck.
There's a lot of
Misery
people doing the
is
same shit.
Very comfortable with others.
Yeah, I stopped drinking years ago. I'll have a wine or a beer, something like that. Very rarely, but I've tried a lot of different substances in my life, and alcohol is the one that's like ruined opportunities and put my life at risk. I've gotten in literally 100 fights when I was drunk. Probably I fought cops, I fought my friends. Like if I smoked weed or ate some shrooms or whatever, like I'm not going outside and looking for a fight. Like I'm not wilding the fuck out. I'm not driving. I think, whoa, this is not a good time to drive. Like if I'm drunk, back in the day, I'm talking 15, 20 years ago, but let's fucking roll, and my friends was like, you can
Get your road sodas and you're drinking and drinking and driving. Yeah. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah,
everybody did.
For 20 years of my adult life. I don't think 90% of the time I drove, I had open containers in my car. Fucking disgusting. With kids in the car too.
Yikes.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the same
it's
time,
gross. You brought
you brought up something. You kept bringing up the point that you had money yet you were in the situation. And it's almost as if you were letting people know that I did have a way to take care of myself, but I was still down and out. And I think that that's a fantastic thing to point out. Money doesn't do shit when it comes to that inner turmoil. If it's your turn to be in the fucking chopping block, you're going to be on it, whether you've got a stack of Benjamins or a stack of fucking cans of beans. It's an equal opportunity situation. Money is going to afford you the opportunity to be able to get to different levels of care in different situations. But socioeconomic really is not the definitive marker for whether or not you're going to cope with your trials and tribulations, or whatever you're going through. It's a fingerprint, man. Everybody's got one and they got to go through it on their own terms. And money don't do shit for you, except for maybe give you more ways to keep yourself from facing it.
I think it draws it out. You know, if you have money and you could be on drugs for 10 years, 15 years, you could figure out ways to like make it look like you're not. You could you know, there's a lot of different ways that you can cover shit up if you got money, I think. And
white corporate America is drunk as shit.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a friend recently and she was telling me like that her friend is very successful, corporate job, whatever. And she's like, hey, you want to rail some fucking Adderalls? And starts breaking in like, what? And like, I know a lot of people that do that. Like they fucking sniff Adderall. I like taking them, you know, runs out of the kick. You lose the kick and it just becomes like medication. And then people are doing that. Like if the same person, if I broke out meth or cocaine, they'd be like, oh, you're fucking disgusting. Not that I would ever do that, but they'll break up Adderall. I'm like, it's completely identical. It's the same fucking thing. It's just sold by a different person, a different form. But like, they would think you're crazy if you did meth, but like them and their corporate buddies, like sniff Adderall on the weekend.
Pino.
Yeah, like fucking, is this Thunderbird or is it fucking Chateau fucking whatever, you know, Chateau blah, 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 blah. You know,
just because you have a tie on doesn't make this fucking acceptable, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's crazy though, how like the marketing of it, you know, and everything. It's like people still think it's bad to smoke weed, but they'll fucking get shit-faced drunk every day or at least once a week, you know?
I think that, it's all, but the pills and the alcohol combined, and not to keep pressing that button, but it's like, that's definitely not the route. But I think like the big picture, whether you're 20 years old, 40, 60, 80, going through whatever you're going through in life. And I think we all are going through our own story narrative, but the commonality is a lot of people look for outside solutions to their inside problems. And I think that was the major shift that I think anybody can do, whether it be through a blast of psychedelics, whether it be through meditation, whether it be through extreme loss. It's just a decision to not be like, oh, I need another job. I need a new hot girlfriend. I need some more money. If I only got that car, if I only could, whatever. You're always looking for something outside of you, where in my case, as soon as I realized, and it's horrible to say, as soon as I could say, well, you're a narcissistic, mean, belligerent, drunk. And I hate to keep beating myself up like that, because now I'm the exact opposite of all those things. But it took me to look at inside to be like, well, there's my problems. I've got the money. I've got the house. I've got the women. I've got the cars. I've got all the status you could possibly want. All the issue is inside. Then as soon as I realized, well, all right, now, you know, I still have a big pile of crap that I have to work through, but now I know where to work on it. And it's not looking for some outside person to save me. It's going to come from my own work,
something that
with
you
my own
embrace
shadow,
now.
with my own
it's
demons.
enjoyable to find those
It is
hidden gems underneath the pain. You know, when you have that moment where you get to pick that up and be like, well, that's what causes this. man, thank fucking God, because I can go ahead and get rid of this problem now, or this way that I react to these things. People
Right.
people don't understand that that is part of the entire journey. Is you get to turn those stones over, and go, okay, yeah, that's why I'm acting like this
And
fucking kind of asshole in this particular situation, or that's why I'm doing. It's all fear based, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? Self preservation in the form of any type of interaction with anyone that makes you feel physical or mental pain, right? And you just come up with ways to
well,
fucking change your reality and spin it in a way that it doesn't hurt anymore.
you become comfortable
Mhm.
with it. And you mentioned the term, and we didn't have a deep enough, discussion on the term like ego death. I don't think, and it's not necessarily, in my opinion, ego death. I think it's like ego
Mm.
observation, where
Yes.
you understand the demons that are in your mind and in your brain, and you let them speak, you let them say their piece, but then you put them in the right compartment. You don't let them run the show. And with me, it was just a matter of seeing those demons. But then to say also, and I love how you guys talk very openly with all your guests about the natural beauty of one another, how we all have our own unique light and our own unique story, and just show it as you are. Be comfortable in your own skin, as eclectic and as unique and weird as you are.
Please.
That's beautifully how you have to be. Um, and it to everybody needs to just understand that, and then you can start working on that unique, authentic self. But so many people are trying to be not all their authentic self. And that's what I was doing. And not that I was trying to keep up with the Joneses or anything like that, but it was just this constant rat race of more money, more things, more houses, more shit, more. And then now I have none of those things. And I'm the happiest I've ever been, because now I'm living completely within. So if I have any internal issues, it's worked on immediately. And not to say I don't have any issues now, but I don't have, I don't know. I don't have any issues now.
Right. Well,
I'm broke. I'm poor. I don't have, I'm working for $20 an hour when I used to make $1,000 a
but
day.
the fact of the matter
But I'm
is,
happier than I've ever been.
you've actually found where to place value on what happiness actually is. It's not a
Absolutely.
matter of changing your state of economic bliss. It's a matter of changing the fact that money doesn't do shit for you except for buy you more shit or allow you to help others. That's one of the cool things that
Yeah.
you do find out, is that there's a process to all of it. There's a flow. If you open a pipe and you provide no resistance, what happens with the water or the liquid? It comes out the other side. If you remove guilt, materialism, and shame, and whatever you're using to use those biosurvivability tickets to protect yourself with, the moment that all of that gunk is out of that pipe, all the money flows that way. Other people's money flows your way because their pipe is clogged, because you've become a conduit for doing things good. You've become that person that is giving back. So why wouldn't the money come to you? Because it's serving its greatest purpose. It's so obvious, yet it's so hidden.
It's a pendulum
It
swing,
really is.
and it will come back. I mean, um, and to know everything is going to ebb and flow, and that's okay. That's an opportunity to learn. Once again, lean into it. I know money and opportunity will come
Mhm.
again, and when it comes, I'll be happy. Right now, I'm going to enjoy all the other things that I have to be grateful for, which is a million things. So
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. And there's a million things more to be grateful for. Um, I'm curious. So you've been living in this psychonaut world for the last 3 or 4
2
years.
years.
You've probably kept your eye on what the legalities are in the areas that are bringing, or fighting the fight to bring this to, a legal state where people can utilize it for mental health reasons or spirituality or whatever it may be. What have you heard about that? Where do you see this going?
Uh, so I'm in New England, so that we're pretty comfortable around here. Like my understanding is legislation in both Rhode Island and Massachusetts that are looking to legalize shrooms and psilocybin. I believe ayahuasca too, because it's a plant-based medicine. There's ketamine available around here. As far as legality of it, that's I don't think I'm educated enough to know the ramifications on either side, because we were just talking about legal alcohol, legal pills, legal, so
Yeah.
I don't think, I think majority of people should not do psychedelics. I think most people should stay the fuck away from DMT. I don't think you certainly shouldn't, it shouldn't be something everybody should have access to. But I also don't think somebody should go to jail for the rest of their life because they growing shrooms, or they made a batch of ayahuasca
I
brew.
agree.
Um, I think there needs to be some just adult conversations about it. I don't I don't think that all the cops or the people that I've talked to, I think as long as you're not selling it, you're not trying to distribute it, you're not trying to push it on people. Like in my circle, not one dime has ever been exchanged for anything ever. Like
Why
there's
would you
no
want to if you,
commercial
yeah,
value. There's
if you
no
know what
um.
somebody's going to
It's
obtain from it, then you've done it yourself. So you don't want to be the guy charging people for coming
yeah no
to,
it's
reality for the first time, or to find their place and, all that relief. That'll be $9.99, please. It's,
yeah no, it's an honor to share it, because
yeah,
how do you put a price on that? It's
who
um.
gatekeeps fucking
But
peace?
that's where there is a fine line. But right now, like in my book, and I can say it kind of confidently that I'm not, although fucking knock on wood, just stop running my mouth. Um, but everything is legal to purchase. So all the plant-based materials you can legally get shipped to the USA. All the other materials you need to make it are easy and accessible. Um, it's a pretty straightforward process. So to me, that's a safer thing to know, that you're going literally from plant extraction in your own home or wherever you're going to do it, and know to get the end product, than just getting some pill or some shot or some vaccination from a company and injecting it in your body. Do it with due diligence, but it's a very simple, easy process to do. So why wouldn't you? Like I've made brew homemade beer before. Like this is easier to make than that. I've grown weed before. This is way easier than that.
If you're that scared, do a retreat.
So
There's a
yeah.
lot of
Well,
retreats out there that can actually help you if you're afraid that first time, so to speak. If you don't want to be the one concocting your own, meal and standing there alone with it, find a retreat. There's a lot of ayahuasca retreats now all over the world that I know veterans use them now. They go to South America, they go to Central America, to Costa Rica, and probably a billion other places.
because they
Yeah,
work.
and why wouldn't you? The ability to free your mind from that stranglehold of depression, anxiety, and PTSD is liberating, right? To be able to do that in a moment, and that doesn't mean that it's gone. What it does is it makes you realize that you've been followed by something that has no true material existence. They're like the dementors of the mind that have no ability to ever be grabbed. They really can't smack you. They can't do shit but just sit there and look at you. But we'll sit there in fear of them. And once you get that chance to find yourself in that mix, you get to see that, Gary, you're actually inside of a snow globe and all those dementors are on the outside of it. And you're picking which one you want to pull in your globe and turn your life black. But in reality, you never had to grab any of them. They're just out there fucking hanging out. Everybody's got the same issues, the same fears, the same sick thoughts or good thoughts or whatever they are. I believe that it's he who picks it acts on it.
And as soon as you know you have that power to say fuck you, or that you are kind of choosing your own demon to go against get battle against, it's such an
It is.
empowering moment. And they, whatever your entities or the demons that you're battling, they know it. And the second you turn that script, it's kind of like in the Matrix, like when as soon as he realizes, like, oh shit, and the power dynamic shifts so instantly. When yeah, whether they're things that are sucking your energy, or that there's all this, all these theories about what happens in reality and consciousness and shit like that. Whatever type of interactions you're having, as long as you know you're in control, then you're just playing the game. And they know that. I know that. And it's like you said, it's an empowering thing. So when those demons or uh, negative thoughts come to the table and they want to have that conversation, it's like, cool. What do you sit down and have a conversation? It's not, oh, run, put on the lights, boogeyman's here, get scared. It's like, it's almost, I'm grateful for the communication. I'm grateful for the lesson going to be learned or be taught, because clearly something's in my life for that reason.
Yeah.
And it switches it, because it puts they come in like a scary goblin, and they're just a tiny little fucking pussycat.
It allows me to know that they're talking no matter whether I'm looking or not. So why does it matter if they're out there? It's like yelling at the sun for coming up every day, right? There's no actual purpose in it. It's there regardless. It's going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be there next year. It's my fans. Let me walk through life and let them look at me, not paying attention to them. Right? They're going to be there. They're screaming their jeers and they're saying all the horrible shit they can or whatever. But there's really no backboard unless I fucking stand there and take it. Otherwise, it's just flying around. It's like, using racial epithets. They seem to hurt people so much. And I hate them and I hate that they have the power. I just wish that people would realize that the moment that it has no power over them, the person using them will no longer throw it.
Yeah, well said. And it's true.
Needs a target. Remove the target. The target's imaginary anyway. Turn it off. Whatever you fuck you want to do with it. It's literally imaginary. All hypothetical, all in thin air. I'm offended. What the fuck is offended? It's a feeling, right? And why do you want to hold on to that? That's like letting a squatter live in your head rent free and taking dumps in every corner and you going, well, I don't know what to do with them. Like, fucking no, get them out of there. Don't let them just hang out.
Unless you're in California, then they could stay for years.
Oh, yeah, that's weird out there, man. That's like, you remember the California Love with Dre and Tupac?
Yeah.
Do you remember the video where they're like out in the desert and just fucking all anarchy and it looks like Mad Max in the Thunderdome?
Yeah.
Like that's what I imagine California is very close to becoming. And then you have like Colorado and Oregon are the in vogue states. Free your mind. Everybody's going that direction. It's fucking pretty funny. Like we're just post-apocalyptic now.
Yeah. There is a consciousness shift or
Yes.
I don't want to say consciousness shift, but like we're at this turning point where something's got to give. And I think, that's where psychedelics, I think, have a huge role in this turning point where it can't be red team, blue team. It can't be Trump against Biden. It can't be like, we have to all be humans on this planet and we all have to understand that resources are not limited. We can come together, we can disagree and have differing opinions, sure. But it doesn't have to be this battle. And I think most people that do psychedelics come out with a greater sense of empathy, a greater sense of sympathy, a greater sense of knowing themselves, a connection of one, a connection to source, a connection to all living things and beings. And I think that type of unity and connection with self and source is missing in most people's lives. And psychedelics, I think, allow that. And that doesn't mean you have to do shrooms every week or blast off the DMT like I did. And it doesn't even, and I love I'm going to steal that if I could,
please.
about your favorite psychedelics is meditation, to sit and meditate, to pray, to go to the gym and have a nice session. All of those things can bring you that same peace, but seek it. Take the time for yourself to do those things.
You owe it to yourself.
The intention.
You selfish
Absolutely.
asshole. If you don't do that, then you're denying the world yourself, your true, authentic self. If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not giving what you were given back to the world. And that is true, authentic you. Selfish when you don't allow people to see for who you truly are. When you don't let people have that look at you, then they have no ability to trust in their own look or their own authenticity. As long as you wear the 80s fucking Charlie Brown mask, everybody else is going to keep it on and just keep snapping the rubber band in the back on everyone, right? First person that takes it off, everybody takes it off and breathes. Fuck. So why don't you just take the mask off? Don't be fucking so egotistical and let people see you for the beautiful human that you are. There's my rant for the day.
Nice. I like Charlie Brown with the MF Doom mask better.
Okay. Well, MF Doom, I can deal with that. But those 80s masks were brutal. They were they had why did they not want us to have a full mouth hole? Did you notice that on those? It was always like a slit the size of like a sideways Band-Aid.
That you try to stick your tongue
through
and open it up.
Through it. Like,
yeah, that was my my Halloween costume sometimes, like when in a fucking freezing like snowsuit and the fucking plastic.
What does that look like? I lived in Florida, so I didn't even have Halloween costumes. I was one of those poor kids that managed to get like pink hairspray or something, and you show up at the rich kids' houses with a pillowcase and They kind of toss the candy at you because they don't want you too close to them because you look poor.
Yeah, it's one of the things I never appreciated. Like my mom would make my costumes and like I thought it was whack when I was really young, but they were really good. She'd spend hours making it, but like, I'm like, can we just go buy one, when you're 10 or whatever? Looking back at like the care and stuff that went into that,
Sick.
it's like I'm such a dickhead. Like,
You don't
and
know.
sometimes it just was too cold. I'd have that on with the fucking, Ralphie from Christmas Stories fucking suit over it. And then the mask, it's all you see.
Casper the fucking Burlington coat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I
we
love
get
that.
a lot of snow at Halloween every now and then, every few years in Cleveland. Like it just be one of those shit years and it's freezing by Halloween.
But it is a mask. I think that one of the biggest things that the logo for the show is masks. It's the yin yang symbol with, happiness, tragedy, and comedy and combination. Everybody knows when they listen to the show, we talk about stupid shit, we talk about serious shit. But recognizing that we are both of those characters at any given moment allows us to embrace our individual uniqueness, and we can allow other people to see us for who we are. And then they just get a lot fucking more comfortable around us. One of the things that comes with the work that you're doing and that other people are doing in those moments where they're starting to find themselves is, I'm sure you could attest to this, that your friends will disappear. They'll leave, but it won't be a fight. It'll be almost like a natural atrophy, kind of like you're turning an FM radio from 95.5 to 99.9, and they're still on 95.5. You're still in the same fucking room. You're all hanging out, but they are not on your frequency and you're not on theirs. So you don't even fucking cross paths anymore. You're just there in the same space. You're just seeing different things.
And that's natural and that's okay. And that's what needs to happen.
They can turn their dial.
Definitely, I'd say that when I stopped drinking, 80% of my acquaintances kind of just fell off
yeah.
because then I would come in and not be the miserable person that, I wasn't 40 pounds overweight with bags under my eyes saying, I slept half the day away. Oh yeah, me too. Like, so right off the bat, yeah, you kind of get rid of the not even fake friends, but genuine friends, but they want to hold you down. They don't want to see you go up. And this would be a perfect segue if I could. I was inspired and crying when I was listening to your episode last night with some couple weeks ago with Matt Zeman.
Yes,
and
Matt's an amazing
Gary.
man.
You would, and the whole time, well, not the whole, most of the stuff, I'm just nodding, being like, yes, yeah, like agreeing to 99.9 of the stuff this guy was saying, because and it's coming from a heartfelt place. But the story about your friend that passed, Drew, and the story about the shrooms and the synchronicity of the birthday and all that, but saying what an awesome hype man he was, and that just always there to bring you up, and you can do this. And if you don't have people like that in your life, or let me rephrase that, the people that aren't the hype men that love you the way your friend did and does, get them the fuck out of your life, because it should only be fuck yes energy. It should be only the people that think you're awesome and amazing. It's the only the people that say, do whatever you want, shine that light. I love your new haircut. I love that style. Dye it blue, cut it off, do whatever. And the people that aren't that, remove them, because then you get that inner circle of just not even like-minded, with the same goal of just connectedness. You know, a lot of my friends are completely different points of views, but we're all the biggest fans of one another, and that's huge. So yeah, get rid of the fluff and keep only those hype men around. But the other part of that story that I thought was absolutely beautiful, and I think this is a common thing with psychedelics, is it has a mind switch. So you were saying that and is it okay if I talk about this subject?
Yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I don't
Gary,
want to
yeah,
just
please.
like who the fuck am I to
No, please
talk
do.
about your
Like
friend?
it's something like a
Um,
lot of people, a lot, I know a lot of people watch our podcast that I know they don't really talk to me about it a lot, but a lot of people have specifically commented on that. Either they knew Drew or they know me. And it's like a lot of people hit me up after that. And like I talked to them about it, and it's helped me continue to help myself, and it's helped
yeah,
them through
to
some
remember
stuff
him.
too.
Well, just the fact that, and rightly so, you know, if you saw him pass away and all the hard times that he went through and the struggles, but then to be like, well, no, for majority of his life, he was this amazing, vibrant person that put out good energy and laughed and smiled and it perpetuated that. So to have it where one, you were walking around not having that beautiful energy in your life and in your mind, even though, yes, his body had passed, but you were cutting that out of your life when all you needed to do is have that switch. And I think your life now is drastically better now that you're thinking of him in the right light. But what an honor to him. Like
Mm,
he deserves better to not be remembered by the last his fucking way out.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
right.
it's like, so it's a win-win for everybody where his memory can be properly conveyed and shared and expressed with laughter. And yes, there was some loss there, but it's not with a dark cloud over it. And it's that yin and yang. It's knowing that there was dark with the light, but let's not forget about the light,
mm,
you know? And then if you're sitting there for 2 years, just with this darkness about this young man who was such an amazing light and energy, and if it takes a psychedelic, you know, shroom trip from your freezer to blast that out, what an amazing thing. And that those types of stories of the person that lost a child, and you say, well, how can you
mm.
turn that into something good? They do. My wife got murdered. How do you turn that into something? They do. Regretting abortions that I had from 2 years ago. How do you, like, there's ways of seeing the other side of it. And it's not getting rid of the other side. It's having the other side to make it whole, to make it complete. Because then once it's complete, you can put it in the right compartment in your brain. And then from there, you're not running rampant about it. But now, like that completeness that allows you to talk to Drew about Drew in the proper sense with smiles and like levity and laughter, as opposed to just,
Mm.
oh yeah, fucking it was all lost and all doom and gloom.
Yeah, I
And
hear him a lot now,
that light
like
is,
he always used to be like
you opened
excited
it
and
up.
go, yeah, like he had this big scream, yeah. And like all my friends and stuff, we mimic it often, but I'll hear it like when something good happens in my life or when I'm on the right path, I can fucking hear it in the back of my head, like, yeah.
Yeah.
And, he's just the guy would just, I've never saw him be angry, really. The only times was like
Yeah.
to
So
defend
those,
somebody,
They're
he would
special
step
humans.
in, but he was just, no matter what you were doing, he was way more excited than you. Like, it would be the best thing. Like, I made a song, it's fucking dope. He'd be like, that's fucking, we got to get this. We got to fucking go press the tapes up, like a t-shirt made. Like, I know a guy that'll do this. Like, well, fucking, I
that's
got the whole
awesome.
plan. Like, that shit is the best shit you've ever made. Like, let's keep it up. Let's go to right now while we're hot. Let's do the next one, like, or, you haven't made anything in a while, man. You're like bummed the fuck out. Like, well, let's go make some music, or let's go to fuck pizza joint that you like, or, he would sense it. Like, even like over the phone in a 2-minute call, he'd be like, hey, man, I'm gonna fucking swing through real quick, like, I didn't say shit. Like, he didn't know I was going through it that day, but he'd be like, I'm gonna fucking swing through, and he'd come with a joint or something back then when I smoked weed, or, he'd always show up with like ginger ale because he knows I love this one kind of ginger ale. He'd have it. Or like, it was just random shit like that. It would be nothing. It'd be a 50
Yeah.
cent fucking can of pop, but it fucking changed my week.
But doesn't that make you inspire you to be like that person?
All the
And
time.
I know over the course of the last year and a half or two, I try every opportunity that I have to be like Drew. I do, and whether it's a simple, um, I sent a lady that I'm friends with on Instagram just saying your smile makes me smile. No sexual thing. No, I'm not trying to hit on her. None of that. It was just literally I see her smiling, it makes me smile. And to say that and to think about one another. So my buddies at end, and I brought some homemade cookies that my mom made. It's like, I'm leaving the house. I'm like, oh no, Sean's going to love these cookies. And to just stop and think,
My wife's
I
great at
want to
that.
be that person, like I want to be that person that people are like, oh, Adam's here, as
Mm.
opposed to, oh, fuck, Adam's here. And for so many years of my life, it was, oh, fuck, Adam's here. And I get it. Because honestly, you two wouldn't be friends with me. I certainly wouldn't be invited on your podcast. And if I was around your family and friends, you probably wouldn't want me there. Where now I'd like to think I'm invited and welcome in most circles because that shit is just, it's just out of my system.
The other one was a
But it took
character.
knowing it.
It's
Yeah.
just a character that we build, we create, we play to, we give it value, we put emotions in it. You can offend it. You can do all sorts of wild shit to it. I call it because it is literally something inside of the pages of a script that you're writing one day ahead of the release date at any given moment. And you're preparing for what you think other people are going to think about your character. It's fucking nonsense. Like just creating bullshit to create bullshit. Like just not allowing people to live and be people in the moment. Like people will walk into a room, I call it benchmarking. They're like, oh, I'm fat. I feel fat in this. And they're like, well, thanks, motherfucker. You're 140 pounds. Everybody else in this room knows that they weigh more than you, but because you had to come in and make the announcement, we all know that it was an announcement for everybody to know that even though you feel fat, we're still fatter, right? It's a weird human thing that we like to set it. Now, everybody in the room is looking at that weight as the benchmark for their happiness and their appealing, how appealing they are in that moment. We just do little things to fuck up the environment that we're in.
Yeah, they just want everybody in the
Most
room to be
people
like, "You're not fat." You
out of my system.
The other one was a
But it
character.
took,
look great.
Yeah, they want
Like,
that affirmation. And they're
Yeah.
getting it from a fat person, which is so fucked up. You know what I mean? Like that's their audience. They are people will not even recognize in their own head that they're trying to get some self-affirmation from somebody that weighs more than them because they feel fat that day. And they can. Proves a point. It's all relative.
Well, again, looking for outside solutions to your internal issues, so
Great place to end
whatever.
this.
Just
don't look outside, look inside. Why don't you give everybody, a plug where they can find your book, what they can expect to hear, and your social media, that kind of stuff, and then we'll make sure that we put it all in the show notes.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for sharing your stories. And I look forward to listening to more of your stuff. So my book's available. It sounds like a radio, but available where any books are. So it's on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart, all that. It's in a couple of cool stores. If you're in New England, it's at Newberry Comics. So there's
that's cool.
There's like, I think it's in like 15 of those stores. So that's pretty cool. I just put out the audio version of it. So that's kind of been selling pretty good too.
Did you narrate it?
But I did.
Oh, that's badass.
So me and my girlfriend. So I have a chapter written by a female to kind of put another perspective on DMT, how it related to her life, how it relates to relationships. We have a chapter on there about sex on psychedelics. So we kind of use that as part of our relationship building. So that was a fun project. But so the book's available. But it's really not about selling the book. It's really about having conversations like this. I want to be able to share my message, hopefully help somebody to be like, fuck, I don't have to be that drunk asshole or that narcissistic dick, or maybe lose some beautiful woman with her 2 daughters because I'm running from all my shit and alcohol, So I take away the message. If you like my story, it'd be cool if you buy my book. But it's really about looking in the mirror after hearing my words and saying, like you said a couple of years ago, beautiful, wonderful, and I'm okay just the way I am.
Yeah, you absolutely are.
And I ended my book with the chapter "Love Thy Neighbor," and it just coming full circle from knowing that I hated people, I hated society, I hated fucking myself, to now loving myself and my place in society and looking at people with an empathetic eye. So that was a long-winded way of saying you can get my book anywhere, but really it's the message. And if you want to connect with me, my email's in the book. I'm on Instagram at Books by Adam Butler Books and Books by Adam Butler.
Awesome.
Either one of those two will come up.
Gary, you want to
I'm here.
wrap up with anything?
No, it's really glad to have you on, and that you're open with everything that you've been through. And I think the more people that come on this show or other shows, and people will see you and see the tattoos and everything, be like, that's a big tough guy. And like a lot of times people hide behind different personas and they don't want to show a weakness or a vulnerability or tell about one that's in the past. But I think the more people that, say everything wasn't great a year, 2 years, 5 years ago, I went through shit, like I got through it. I think that's what our show's about. And more people need to just open up, tell other people their story and how they've overcame things or how they're trying to overcome things. And I think the world will just be better that way instead of us
And
all.
you're not alone.
No.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes you just need to hug, and sometimes you need to offer a hug.
All
And
right.
it can be just as simple as having that. But you have that power within you too, to offer a hug or sympathetic or empathetic ear. It is an amazing power to know that you have that ability to affect that type of positive change. And
Absolutely.
it's a reciprocal thing that can just keep flowing.
Genuinely appreciate you coming on here. I like your
Thank you.
strength and vulnerability is commendable. The fact that
Thanks.
you understand that we're not the sum of our experiences, we're not defined by them, we simply learn from them. There's no such thing as time. You can be a different human at any given moment. There's no rules that say you have to be the asshole you were yesterday or the weak person that you were yesterday. It's so fragile. I just described it. Everything's a character. Rewrite yours. You're given the autonomy to pick your story. We just think we don't have the ability to do something different. You grow to a mold, you're going to be that mold, right? You're going to grow to a fucking bundt cake. Don't be a bundt cake, right? Grow to
Cakes are
the,
good.
what's that? Bundt cake is good. But reach your full potential, not the potential that somebody else told you have, right?
Yeah.
That's their
Beautiful.
limitation, not yours. And I appreciate your strength and the fact that you're being, I always say it, a lighthouse. When we, operate as ourselves in the best manner that we can, we guide other people to their destination so that they can be themselves. So I appreciate you being that human.
You as well.
Remember, everybody, today I'll just go ahead and call it out. Adam is wearing one of our affiliates into the AMTs. He's got a great shirt on right now. Love it. I have that shirt. So if you want to support the show,
And they glow in the dark.
They do, man. Some of them glow in the dark.
Yeah. Fucking awesome.
I love graphic tees. I couldn't afford them when I was a kid, and I always wanted them. And then when I ditched the suits and left the corporate world, I fell in love with Into the AM, and I just started buying their tees like crazy.
And they fit
They
nice.
do.
They're
They
soft.
don't
They're
shrink.
freaking-
They don't, nothing. They're just perfect. Like this
I was
is
gonna wear one
like
today.
an unplanned commercial, but I'll take it. Go hit us up on the website. Go to our sponsors, affiliates. Click on Into the AM. They've got tons of cool deals right now. And now they do like fucking Henleys, polos, sweats, activewear, all sorts of stuff. So,
And
then
I'm
also
wearing
you-
sweats.
yeah, you can also head over to our sponsor or to our donate link for PayPal and buy me a coffee. I'm not good at plugs. I hate them, but I'm trying to do it right now. Suck at it. Anyway, go give us your money and help us keep doing this shit. And remember, everybody, be cool and cool.